So it's another day in the shop. We got the scare buddy on the hoist. We got our drive shaft. Got to put our yoke back in because I sent it with the drive shaft to make sure I got the right U-joint. Right now we're just playing with the transmission cross member. So yeah. Where did I put it? Either way, somewhere floating around here. Oh, hey, how about right there? So, what I'm currently doing is modifying the crossmember I got. So, this is actually not meant for a 6L80 or 90. It had the two holes instead of the one in the center. So, and which is weird because actually the two-wheel drive, they all have one stud. So, I think from what I read, this takes their mount, like this hooker crossmember takes their own mount, but it's like 250 bucks by the time it gets here. So this mount was, I think, 17 bucks. So I have cut a piece out of some square tubing and I am making my own. It'll fit in there, boom. Weld that up, and then I'll probably take the torch and just make one line down the center for that, and then we'll test fit it. We'll probably clean, because the torch leaves a mess, that's the only problem, so we'll have to use like a burr bit and clean it up. But yeah, so we'll get it in there and weld it, and then get that hole made and get it back in the truck and test fit it, because I want to do all this before I slide the drive shaft in there. So yeah, let's get started. So this is a spacer I made because you gotta hold when you don't have the yoke on. There is nothing holding the pinion from falling inward. So we're going to take a rag, try to clean out all the little metal chunks that spacer left behind, because I don't want my pinion bearing eating those. I don't know the shape of this diff anyway, because I didn't get to really drive the truck before we pulled it all apart, so it could be interesting. But we're going to try to not help it self-grenade, and we'll get a blowgun as well. That was all. I should have cleaned out that tube that I welded the end to. It left a little bit of welding slag in the tube, and well, guess what? It fell into here. So hopefully that bearing didn't need a ton, just from, because all it did since I put that on was I took it and pushed it outside. That nut wasn't on very good either. So hopefully the nut survived, because it is 5 o'clock on a Saturday. We're not going to get another one. So this is the old seal, and it came out awfully easy. So, don't know. It is the wrong size, and it looks like a lot of RTV went on that. This might not be good. It wasn't leaking though, so that's a good thing. This could be fun. So we got the cross member in there. It's actually quite nice. Good thing we figured this out now, so before I order any floor parts, we're gonna have to put the high hump, because as you see, so this is where the high hump would be, and this is the part for the low hump that comes through, and it would get awfully close to the top of that transmission. No, it would hit. Well, mind you, the floor's cut here and pushed down, so a low hump might not, but we have to get floor pans anyway. Either floor pans or a full floor, and then we're just going to cut the pieces that we need. So we'll just, when we do that, we'll just order the high hump. That way there's lots of room for future things. And especially if I decide to fix this cab fully, or if I use this frame for my 87. Either way, I don't know. It's a long ways down the road. Ideally, so with using this cab, it gets it running, driving. I can play with it for the summer while I rebuild my 87 cab, and then I can drop my 87 cab and front clip and all that on this frame, and then use this cab, fix it for another project. I'd like to make another one of these, but a short box. So yeah, but yeah, I also have the drive shaft in, so that's cool. Gotta get some zip ties yet for this. Do that, but yeah, it's in there getting stuff done. I think the next thing we're gonna play with is a shifter, and so what I'm hoping to do is just take this off, flip this, run the factory cable, loop it up, maybe put a fastener here. I don't know if I'll put it over top the heat shield, probably, because exhaust is supposed to go here somewhere, and feed it back and run it on the frame. And there should be a bunch of excess cable, because that other cable is really long, because it runs all the way up to the inside of the steering column in 2012. So I'm hoping I got access so I can loop it and run it on the outside of the frame and go to the square body steering column. The thing for the shifter is right there. So, and it actually, it works backwards of the 6L90 transmission would. So by flipping this, it now makes it the right way, so that instead of having to have a bracket up there and run it opposite up there, I just run it, when I flip that, it makes it so it pushes and pulls the opposite way, right? So park is forward right now, but if you flip this around, park is back, right? So it should be okay. I also, this nub is worn off, and so what I do is I get that out, I cut that off, I grind this back part, because it's actually a kind of a pin through there, and you just punch it out, and I put a 6mm bolt through there with a nut and a locking nut, and then it makes it so, and then you push the bushing out of your cable end. And that's, I do that even on the, when this is in a 2012, because this is so common and they pop off and you're stranded, especially on a work truck that sees a lot of mud, and that's not what you want to be stranded in the bush with. So yeah, so we'll just keep playing, move on to the next thing. I think I'll get myself set up for that cable and see what I can do with that. I gotta lower it down because the cable's in the box of the truck, but it's either that or we'll lower it down. And I got intake gaskets, so maybe we'll put the intake on. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. So yeah, and this, I didn't put the straps on here yet. I'm gonna have to pull that apart. This is, I'm hoping, the wrong seal. It's either that or the housing is screwed. The seal spun in there and ate the housing, which it doesn't look chewed. It looks like it's just too small of a seal, which means that's what somebody else had in here. I think that's because, so I told them this truck had an 8.5 in it. It looks like an 8.5. It's small. I don't know exactly how you tell the difference, besides actually measuring, which I could. And but yeah, so I'm gonna try to get the seal for a 9.25 tomorrow and see if it fits in there better, because they're supposed to be a little bigger, and hopefully it does, and we can get that also. The crazy thing is that wrong seal was in there, and it doesn't fit in there like you've seen in the video. I can just fit in, just push it in easy, and it didn't leak. There's no gear oil running down that diff. So Yeah, and even that, like I siliconed it to put it, I put that other seal back in, or the new seal in, and I did what they did and just siliconed it, because I'm like, well, it'll work temporarily, but we'll probably just get that handled sooner better. Because we also, the nut is screwed on this. It did tighten up, but it's not overly happy, so we will fix that. The threads on the pinion are okay, thank fuck. Because that would suck to have to rebuild this diff all because I screwed the threads on the pinion. So, yeah. Pretty sweet. We got our slip. This looks, there's a lot into there, so this isn't a slip joint anymore, because the slip all happens now here. So, but we have quite a bit in there. Like that blue mark is where I marked it. I was gonna put it in more, but I wanted this to sit happier because I don't want to have this at an angle at all for the steady bearing. So I pulled it back a little bit, and there's still like, there's probably still 2 inches in there yet, and that should be lots because it's never gonna come out of here unless this comes loose and shifts back, and there'd be a whole crazy situation that would have to happen for that to come out of there. And I guess we'll find out. It's all in theory because I've never done it this way before, and only one way to find out. So yeah, enough talking. Now we'll get on to the next task. That's what I'm talking about, the shifter. I just took and punched that piece up, ground it off, and then just punched the other piece out. So now we'll go find a 6 mobile. So it's another day in the shop, playing with the square body Chevy some more. Today we're gonna try to get the shifter cable stuff figured. Yeah, just kind of got late last night, so I stopped playing with it. I got it hooked to the transmission, and I got the bottom part hooked up to the transmission. I'm building a bracket at the moment to go from what used to be the speed cable hold down, because we don't need a speed cable. We're gonna go up to there. There's a bunch of access underneath that I gotta hide somewhere, so we'll see how that goes. But this is my bracket so far, so I need to drop down. I'm thinking the hole is gonna be about here somewhere that has to go through, but all I did was take some flat stock, 1.5 inch wide, and as you see, this was a piece. I bent it, drill the hole, which I'm gonna have to actually split this, put a slit in this somewhere so that the cable can pop in, and also gonna have to put a notch in it because the cable has a notch. Either that or get rid of the notch on the cable, I don't know yet. Yeah, and then I just took another piece and welded it to it, ground it down. It's looking not bad. I'll end up, but once I get it to work, I'll take and I'll round the corners. So it's nice. This I left a bunch of excess, so I have something to play with up top here. And yeah, hopefully make it look half decent. But for now, let's just make it work. And that's the end result of our shifter cable bracket. Still not 100% sure if it's gonna work. Once I get the computer plugged back in and stuff, we'll use a scanner and make sure it's running through all the gears. I still have to go under and adjust the actual adjuster on the cable. Usually I do that by leaving the transmission in park and then leaving the shifter in park. And then just undo the clip and let it relax where it's going to relax and put the clip back in. So I'm going to go do that, and then we'll probably move on to getting the intake in. It's got the intake on. A little more routed. A little more of the wiring harness routed. So that's nice. Gotta get an alternator because, well, if you watch the previous videos, the truck this engine come out of, I was wailing on it with tire iron to get it in. It didn't work before that anyway. But we got the shifter temporarily rigged up. That's not going to last forever. We're going to have to re-engineer that, because right now, as far as I can feel, I only have park and then reverse, neutral, and then drive. I won't have the lower gears, which if you want to do big, fat, mean burnouts, that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to do something for that. But yeah, overall, it was a productive weekend. We got a lot done on this thing realistically in a short amount of time, considering. Pretty happy about the drive shaft. Pinion seal kind of sucks. We got to pull that back apart with the right pinion to get the right pinion seal, but that's okay. It's crazy that wasn't leaking. And figure out our power steering. That's the next thing. I think I don't know if I want to keep the Hydro Boost or not. We'll see. I gotta do some more thinking on that. I think I might go back to a vacuum booster. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, it'd be easy to do. So all I gotta do is get lines for like a 2004 Chevy 2500, and they'll all screw in. They should, depending what year that Hydro Boost is out of. It's not out of this because this truck never had a Hydro Boost. It had a vacuum booster from factory. So just as long as it's not out of the early ones, the metric lines will work off of a newer one, and I'll bolt right up. That's what I did on my last one. Vacuum booster would be easy. The hardest part would be changing it, which isn't that bad. Because here's the line for it right there, boom. Where we'd have to cap that if we use the Hydro Boost. Like the purple zip ties. I got some more. I gotta have to order some bigger, longer ones. See if they can get them. My sister convinced me into those. So I like it. Nice little touch. Slowly getting the wiring harness cleaned up. It's not gonna be perfect. There's a mess at the back. The harness just is long, too long in some areas and too short in others. Like to get to the crank sensor, I'm gonna have to extend those wires, which is a good thing I have the original harness still, because I just keep stealing wiring out of that and extending things as I need to. But yeah, I'm gonna have to extend that. I think I'm gonna try when I pull this front accessory bracket off and route that in behind and then down, just so it kind of tucks. Still gotta figure out what some of these pigtails are for. Like, I don't know if that's temperature sensor or if this is temperature sensor. Don't remember what that's for. So all sorts of stuff to figure out what goes where. But making progress, that's the main thing. That's gonna be it for this video. Yeah, thanks for sticking around.